The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
If it hadn't been for you, I would be now in someone else's digestion.
You know there's something you should know, so I'm gonna tell you so.
It's Bad Movie Month on the Cellcast.
Don't sweat it. Forget it. Enjoy the show.
Dealet, you might want to stop that. That's the wrong one. This is not Bad Movie Month yet.
Yeah, come on.
Yes, I know it wasn't that much fun to watch, but technically, A, these aren't movies, and B, Bad Movie Month is next week.
Yeah.
I want you to play the regular intro. This is still a normal episode. We're not in a theme month yet.
Yeah, please.
Bad Movie Month is not till next week.
Yes.
All right, fine. Play the right intro, please.
Thank you.
The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who has wolf's breath. Welcome, Jacob.
Ow! Oh man, it stinks. Come on. It smells worse than what I ate for dinner tonight. Woo! Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait, it's not because you turned him into a wolf. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, there's no tail or ears or anything yet.
Yet.
Yes, yet. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who swung for the fences for a pitch idea for a show, and it failed and wound itself on YouTube to be laughed and mocked at. Welcome, Drew.
You know, it could be worse.
That it could.
At least when doing this, I had a ball of a time.
Chunk.
Except that I actually wasn't involved and it wasn't that good a time. We'll get into that in a minute.
Yes.
Tonight, we are reviewing a non-Patreon patron pick.
Yes.
Because Thats Our Bobbo, he's not sour as far as I can tell. So it's Thats Our Bobbo, paid us $10 directly to review this.
Thank you, Bobbo.
We do appreciate that, Bobbo. And technically, he actually paid us $10 to review something else. And I said, can we do something that doesn't quite go straight into Bad Movie Month? And then he gave us this.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which is literally kind of
yeah, on the border.
On the border. It's almost a prelude to Bad Movie Month.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, very.
Yeah, tonight we're reviewing The Madballs, two failed pilots based on an 80s toy that is literally balls with ugly faces on them that are probably inspired by the Garbage Pail Kids.
Partially, yes. And fun fact about the Madballs, they're still going.
Yeah.
They keep re-releasing them with different companies.
We're on the third company now.
Yeah.
Why?
Because nostalgia, my friend. Nostalgia.
I know. It's just...
They brought back Street Sharks.
They did?
Yes.
Where was this? Oh, wait, this is the toy. It's not the show.
Yeah, the toy line.
Never mind. It's like, there's a show about the Street Sharks? That was awesome.
Yes.
That proves I watched Street Sharks.
Yes. But wasn't allowed to watch Turtles.
Different times, man. Different times.
Agreed.
By the time Street Sharks came out, I was old enough that I don't know. I don't question things. It's not worth it. Power Rangers came out in between there, so I mean, Street Sharks didn't look as bad, I guess.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
Oh yeah. So speaking of, be like Go. What was it? What was they recently released on not Netflix but Hulu. They released
Go Loser Ranger.
Go Loser Ranger.
Yeah, that came out like about 6 months. No, 3 months ago. About the time you were going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs before your wedding.
Yes,
is when that started.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, I saw an episode of that and I was like, that's interesting. I can't wait for them if they dub it, I'd be like, that'll be interesting.
I think there is a simuldub.
Yeah, but it's not on Hulu.
Not on Hulu yet.
It's not on Hulu yet.
I'll have to check the Crunchyroll.
Yes.
But yeah, why don't we go ahead and start talking about the Madballs?
Yes.
So we can get it done.
Spoiler section first, and then go into the spoiler.
Master, activate.
Dealet, play the right ones.
Come on, Dealet.
Certified fresh and spoiler free.
Oh, you'll play what you want, huh? Okay.
Oh, this is going to be a mad episode then.
It's a mad ball. I was just waiting to see how you'd react.
Anyway, I'm lost with that word.
I remember the toys. I'm fairly certain I owned one of these toys back in the day. Mm-hmm. I've never seen this before.
No, oh my gosh.
Neither one of these things. Do I suggest it? It depends on how insane you currently are.
I wouldn't call it insane. I was being like
that may be the wrong term.
Yeah.
You need to find somebody who's doing a riff tracks kind of thing to this.
Yes.
Honestly, I think that would be the better way to watch it, or just be prepared to know that this is cheesy. Mm-hmm. It's written on the quick. It was made for a quick buck, except it was still fairly well animated.
It's well animated. Do get me wrong. Yeah.
I mean, you had a good company behind it. So.
Yes, it did.
But that being said, do I suggest you go watch it? Not if you're looking for a good time.
Yeah.
What's your non-spoiler free? Non-spoiler free. What's your spoiler free thoughts?
My spoiler free thoughts on Madballs. I remember the toy line, like Drew said. Be like, I think we had one. Not great anything. It came to our house with 3 boys. Be like, it possibly got lost, destroyed, or both. This show, I never heard the pilot.
I'm fairly certain my Madball rotted in the front hedges of the old house for many years.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Never mind. Not going down that rabbit hole.
It's a toy.
Agreed.
It's a foam ball that I'm fairly certain rolled off the front porch into the hedges, and I never saw it again.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I thought he threw it like a hedge, like a really high hedge, just threw it up there.
No. The house I grew up in had a big concrete porch on the front of it.
Right.
And we had planted these hedges out in front of it. And when things fell into those hedges, you either had to go to the front and kind of crawl under there and pray you didn't get you didn't scratch your arm to high heaven.
Yes.
Or you never saw it again.
Fair.
And I'm fairly certain there was a little bit of A and B.
Yes.
But I don't remember. Like I said, this is a vague memory I have that I even have this thing.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So I remember the toy line vaguely.
I remember the commercials during the 90s.
Yes. Yeah. Gross out toys of the late 80s, early 90s.
Definitely aimed at young boys.
Yes, definitely. Because I think we had one, maybe 2, and they, obviously got, very well played with. And again, never heard of this until Bobbo said, "Hey, what about this?" And yeah, this was a trip and a half.
But we'll get into that in a minute.
Agreed. Yeah, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. This was interesting.
In our chat, Kirk says from the Rushmore show says they were silicone rubber. They were a cool action figure version where the ball was a head that shot off. Mm-hmm. I don't remember them having a body, but I could be wrong.
Well, the original Madballs were simply just a ball mass,
and that's basically what these character designs are based off of. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's about it for spoiler free.
Yes,
let's get into actually talking about this thing.
Yes.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the 2 television specials, The Madballs, Escape from Orb, and The Madballs, Gross Jokes. Listener discretion is advised. Viewer discretion is also advised if you go watch this thing.
It's not good. I can't say it was terrible, but I can say written story-wise, it's just so repetitive in its jokes. Yeah.
Yeah. Both of these specials were directed by Laura Shepard.
Yes.
And they were both written by John Decline and Heather McGilvray. And for the most part, they have the same cast, except Escape from Orb had a couple more people in it, since it actually had the villains.
Yes.
So, Jeffrey Bowes played Screamin' Mimi.
Screamin' Mimi.
Yes, that was the baseball.
That's right.
And in the Never-Ending Story television show...
There was a television show?
He played Barney.
Really?
Yeah. That was the main thing I saw him in. That's one of the things you're going to see as we go through here is that most of these, they didn't have much. They didn't have much acting credits besides this, with the exception of a couple. Jerry Craden was the voice of Dusty, and he was the voice of many different characters, a lot of one-shot characters from what I could tell, in Inspector Gadget. And speaking of Inspector Gadget, Cree Summer was the voice of Freakarella.
Freakarella, yeah.
And she played Penny in Inspector Gadget.
Oh, okay. So now I'm seeing the connections.
Keith Hampshire voiced Hornhead. And he was the Mad Hatter and Jabberwocky in The Care Bears Adventure in Wonderland.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Allison Court was the voice of Sandy. And she was Jubilation Lee in X-Men the Animated Series.
Well, at least they went on to do great things afterwards.
Agreed. Don Franks was the voice of Wolf Breath. And he's the original actor who played Boba Fett
Really?
in the story of the Faithful Wookiee, which was originally a part of the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh my gosh. I keep hearing horror stories about that.
Also, he was Sabretooth in X-Men the Animated Series.
Oh, okay.
Just throwing that out there. Dan Hennessy was the voice of Slobulus and Bruise Brother. And in X-Men the Animated Series, he played Ruckus, one of the Nasty Boys. John Stalker was the voice of Arg and Skullface. He was Dim and the Cheshire Cat in The Care Bears Adventure in Wonderland. And Christopher Ward played Skip in this.
Doodaddy.
And in Operation Dumbo Drop, if you remember that movie,
Operation Dumbo Drop.
he played Cowboy.
It's not ringing a bell.
It was a movie where they were for some reason they were taking a elephant in a helicopter, I think into Africa, to release it into the wild.
Huh.
And it was I think it was a Disney film. I could be wrong about that. I saw it once when I was a little kid. According to the Rushmore Show in our YouTube, he says Operation Dumbo Drop was awesome.
Huh. Okay.
Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do we have?
4.
No. Lower.
2.
Lower.
0.
Yes.
Okay.
There are no Kingdom Hearts connections.
Oh, okay.
Which actually kind of surprised me because when I was looking, I'm sure Cree Summer, as many things as she's been in, she has got to have been in Kingdom Hearts somewhere. But no, she wasn't. So that's what I've got in cast lists and such. What do we have in info and stuff?
All right. So info and stuff. It's very limited, so I will do my due diligence and give you the information that we need for this 2
VHS tapes.
Yeah, 2 VHS tapes that were supposed to be a series, but never manifest themselves into one.
And I will say, the reason we decided we ended up doing these 2, because all he actually requested was Escape from Orb.
Yeah.
Because that was only 30 minutes. I felt, well, since there is another thing connected to it, to keep somebody from deciding we needed a sequel, let's go ahead and take care of both.
Yes.
So-
knock them both out of the park.
Yeah.
All right. So info and stuff. IMDb has a 6.7 out of 10. How and why?
That's a good question.
That's one of those things I might want to go back and reread because I may have misread what it was. So this was what I have. Rotten Tomatoes, no score. Production was Navara. Am I saying that right?
Nelvana.
Nelvana Limited.
They did a lot of animation back in the day.
They did. It was distributed by. Stop it! Come on, stupid pad.
High Top Video.
Yes, High Top Video. There are rumors 6 episodes were produced, but only 2 were released.
Thank goodness.
You're not kidding. Release date at some point in the 1986. So the same year my baby brother was born. Box office, there wasn't one because it got booed out of the booed out of the theater.
It never even made it to the theater.
No, it wouldn't be like, and plus it was a failed TV pilot, which apparently I'm fairly certain these probably go for a pretty good penny on Amazon. Well, not Amazon, but eBay.
Maybe.
I haven't looked it up.
I didn't look it up either.
I'm curious now, so I might go.
I am thankful to a degree.
Yes.
Of the YouTuber who did very nice VHS transfers of this for YouTube.
Agreed. Let's see. Home release. There really isn't any information to what I understand. So that is all I have for info and stuff. Unless you have something else, Drew.
I do not.
Okay.
Getting into the summary of this, which, surprise, surprise, there was not a Wikipedia article on either of these things. It was crammed into the overall article for the toy. So I pulled these from IMDb.
Nice.
Based on the popular toys, a musical band made up of Madballs try to escape an oppressive planet. They plan to come to Earth to play rock and roll. That is the entire summary of Escape from Orb.
Yes.
Gross jokes. It begins with a warning. It is said that the episode contains scenes that may offend viewers. It is also said that most viewers may experience nagging backache, rapid heartbeat, post-nasal drip, delirium, swelling of the nose, throat and abdomen, and loss of facial hair. Repeated viewings of the episode will result in the loss of one's bodily functions, redistribution of one's facial features, and a difficulty in forming simple sentences. That was not intentional. The announcer concludes the warning by saying that you should definitely watch this episode if you really want to have a career as a lawn ornament. And that's really all you need to know about gross jokes.
Pretty much.
And that says that's a direct quote from the beginning of the video.
Yes.
Trivia. The Madballs is a series of toy foam balls originally created by Amtoy, a subsidiary company of American Greetings, now Cloudco Entertainment, in the mid-1980s, later being revived by Art Asylum from 2007 to 2008, and Just Play Incorporated from 2017 to 2019. The balls incorporated gross-out humor, and each was given a character synopsis and an odd name. The toy line expanded into a franchise with comic books, direct-to-video cartoons, and video games for the ZX Spectrum, Amstrad CPC, and Commodore 64, and there's only one of those three I expect you to even know what it is, because the other two are British consoles.
Yes.
Because I had a hard time finding trivia for this, I have included the character descriptions on the Wikipedia page for the toys. Screaming Mimi is a screaming baseball with a large tongue. Slobulus, a drooling green creature with one eye hanging out of its socket. Arg, a one-eyed, blue-skinned Frankenstein monster-esque creature with stitching over its face. Hornhead, a horned cyclops with a nose ring, which is changed to its ear in the Art Asylum era. Dustbrain, a mummy with rotting teeth and wrinkly teal skin, and in this was a woman.
Yes.
Oculus Orbis, a bloodshot eyeball, later sporting a mouth in the Just Play era. Because that wouldn't be disturbing at all to see an eyeball with a mouth.
No.
Skullface, a skull with large eye sockets sporting tiny red eyes, a big set of teeth, and a potentially exposed brain, which is depicted as a sentient being named Loeb in the Just Play era. And lastly, Bashbrain, a gory zombie head with partially exposed brain. This Madball was originally named Crackhead, but was later renamed Bashbrain due to obvious reasons.
Yes. Think.
That I'm not going to say on this show.
Yes.
And because this is a patron pick, albeit a non-Patreon patron pick, and who was unable to make it here tonight, That's Our Bobbo did give me his thoughts on the Madballs. Greetings from your favorite harbinger of podcasting chaos. Sorry I couldn't be there to share in the great joys of the Madballs cartoons. I have fond memories of watching this as a child. My dad recorded a copy for me. It wasn't something I watched often, but just as a once in a while. something quick to watch kind of thing. Watching it now, there are certain flaws with the cartoon that I didn't expect, that I didn't make much of as a kid. The writing leaves something to be desired. The exposition dumps mainly. They didn't have much time to work with, so I'll give that a bit of a pass. Why do the Madballs give up so easily at the end? They're on Earth. They can run away. And I never understood how the retracting arms and legs worked. And how do they suspend in midair? And one of the writers is named Decline, which I felt didn't bode well for them. Because Decline.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yes.
I still love the photon bathtub line. Always have, always will. I thought this had some potential, but probably needed a lot more work. I wonder if it got rushed out. On a 10-point scale, probably a 4.5. Not something I'd watch for more than nostalgic purposes. The music's fine. The photon bathtub is probably getting at a half point on its own. And good luck with the other tape. I never actually saw that one except for a minute or two on YouTube, and that didn't look very promising. He then says, in a slightly later post to me, also just realized that Cree Summer Frank's voice Freakerella is married to Wolf Breath because they had the same last name. Siblings, I don't know her well enough to know. And then lastly, PPS. This video had an ad for My Pet Monster at the end.
Yes.
I kind of missed that watching the YouTube version. Because apparently he went back and watched the VHS. And our YouTube version that we watched had this same ad.
Yes.
Which is going to be my first like, is the ad for My Pet Monster, because it was better than the other two videos we watched for this.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. That
Don't
honestly
get us
was
wrong.
a treat.
It was like, oh, this is a different thing, and yet this is funny, actually. We'll get into why that is an important thing, but in a minute. But yeah, My Pet Monster is the first thing I liked about the Madballs, which has nothing to do with it. What's your first like?
My first like would be not necessarily the design of the cartoon, but more the design of the characters themselves, because you're dealing with a 1980s design, like mid to late 80s into the 90s, where gross out humor, gross out things were becoming more and more popular. So, because you think of not Cabbage Patch Kids, but Garbage Pail Kids.
Garbage Pail Kids.
Garbage Pail Kids came over at that same time because they're a spoof from
they're parody of the Cabbage Patch Kids, and they're baseball cards.
Yes. So
they were trying to cash in on the baseball card craze.
Yeah. And again, like as a kid, I didn't like that kind of stuff. But as an adult, I enjoyed the design of what they did with these these creatures, these characters. And man, it's just like some of the design work they do later is absolutely incredible. They did their best to do a faithful translation of what these designs to an animated form. They did fairly well, because you're dealing with more simplified forms, simplified lines and design, and I appreciate that for the design work for it, because you're coming off a toy line that has lasted up until the day right now, because they're still producing them through different what you said earlier was like the third company.
But as far as I can tell, they stopped in 2019. So it's only a matter of time before another one comes out.
Yeah, someone will pick it up. Someone will definitely pick it up, because I think everything now in the 80s is starting to get a resurgence, because there's so much nostalgia for people our age, and
nostalgia does sell.
It does very well. Just say that it's a Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's 2000s nostalgia.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't start off with bye bye bye.
Oh my gosh.
Or as we were joking about the other night.
Yes, we
bow
were.
wow wow bow wow. That is purely for a certain listener of ours who Jacob might be married to.
Love you, Ashley. Oh, yes, but like design wise of the characters, I enjoyed. Everything else around it, maybe not so much. But that's my first like design.
I'm kind of going to jump off that same thing because the animation on this is actually fairly good for what we have.
Yeah, agreed.
Escape from Orb, it uses pure cell animation, and the way they adapted the Madballs designs, because if you've not seen the toys, they are far more grotesque than they drew them for this, because they had to draw them in such a way they could be animatable.
And plus more appealing to a child audience.
One hopes that was part of it. I think mostly it was like they wanted to actually be able to animate it.
Yeah.
And that's true in Gross Jokes also. The thing is, Gross Jokes has two different animation styles. It has the same cell thing for part of it that the Escape from Orb had, but then it also goes into Monty Python-esque animation.
It does.
Using pictures of the actual toys. And even that is done well for what it's doing.
I agree.
And I would say this about Gross Jokes. I know we talked about how it's stupid and it's a variety show that's not really that good.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't trying to be Saturday Night Live. I think it was trying to be Monty Python's Flying Circus.
That makes sense.
But it's not Monty Python's Flying Circus, because Monty Python's Flying Circus is funny.
Yes, and this isn't.
More in that when we get to dislikes.
Yes.
But yeah, the way the animation on this, both styles, I thought was done very well. That's my second like.
Yeah.
What's your second?
Well, before I hop into or bounce into my second like, I want to hop into yours for a second. When you talk about animation. Animation and stuff, definitely when we're talking about Escape from Orb, it has that mid to late 80s cartoon aesthetic, a feel of animation that, like, if you were to go back and be like probably like 85, because the animation is done very well for the time period.
Yeah.
It was rushed, didn't have a big budget, but you can tell
it's around the level of like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yeah, in a way.
It's a little bit better than that just because of time period,
Yeah.
but it's about that pay scale.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, just like the animation's done very well. I think just everything, it'd be like, again, for me, like design was great. Design was good, definitely for trying to translate that into animation form and not have to spend like hours upon hours trying to find every detail on, the original.
Yeah.
Design wise. But I do agree. The animation is done fantastically for a time period and the budgetary restraints. So going into my second, it concluded. It finished.
So, my pet monster.
Yeah, my pet. I'm gonna get there. But it's like you like how Escape from Orb ends is just like, okay, you have a conclusion to this. Be like, obviously there was allegedly 6 episodes produced, but only this episode and the gag show was ever released. So I'm glad it ended because it wasn't good.
Yeah,
It didn't have that entertainment value that, like, say, most of the shows that came out during that era. Be like, it just.
We'll get into more of that when we get to dislikes.
Yes.
We don't want to get too negative too quick.
No. But like, yeah,
the fact that it did conclude and
Yes.
it really was a complete story, at least for
Yeah.
Escape from Orb.
Exactly. And the gag show. Be like,
Yeah.
it had a conclusion because they wrapped it up.
It really tells you something when they throw the designs away in the dumpster
Yes,
at the very end.
they do. It just shows
They take
you,
it off to the dumps. Like, y'all hated this too, didn't you?
Yep. So what is your third like?
My third like for this... If y'all have listened to Bad Movie Month episodes before, you know that one of the things I appreciate when I have a hard time finding things to like about one of these shows, I really do appreciate when you can tell at least there was effort put into it. Granted, this was a get a buck quick kind of effort. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of love put into it because I mean like I said, the animation was good. The acting, while not the best, is serviceable. I mean, it's all of these actors I think did a good job with what they were given. So, I mean, there was at least some effort to put out a half-decent show. I do suspect they all knew to some degree that this was not going to make it from the very beginning and were just doing what they could to get the paycheck that they needed. But at least they did try to actually put out, even though they were just doing it for a paycheck, they did at least try to put their best foot forward with this property. Because otherwise, I think both episodes would have been gross jokes. And I will say, of the two, I think Gross Jokes was worse.
Agreed.
What's your third like?
My third like kind of goes back to your first like. My Pet Monster. And I saw that. I was like, you stopped the first one, which is like, thankfully it ended. Yeah,
because that's the thing is we had 2 YouTube videos that we watched this from. The first one was a direct VH rip. Like they went to the beginning of the VHS tape, recorded almost all the way up to where, the little warning beeps start coming up saying, hey, you're getting to the end of the tape. Stop it. You fell asleep. I don't know how you fell asleep in this mess. Yeah. Actually, we do know how you fell asleep in this mess. So it included the ad at the end for My Pet Monster.
Yes.
The TV show. Or no, the movie.
It's a movie.
The theatrical movie.
Yes.
About a kid who gets turned into a monster anytime he gets hungry.
I think it's hungry.
Isn't that isn't there like a Captain Crunch ad or something based on this concept? I could be wrong.
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
I know there's a Count Chocula.
Count Chocula might be the one. The live action Count Chocula ads are like that.
Oh, I don't remember those.
Don't look it up.
Okay.
Don't look it up.
Wow.
You've already been scarred for life this week. You don't need another one.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, My Pet Monster, because I remember My Pet Monster. I think we had My Pet Monster. And following YouTuber or toy collectors on YouTube, you find them all over the place with their chains or non-chains or whatever. And they was like very interesting. It's like that'd be something cool to sit on a shelf, but all it's going to do is sit on a shelf. Yeah. But
the toy was kind of a monster plushie.
Yeah, it was a monster plushie.
That's how it would have been sold nowadays.
Yeah, it's a monster plushie.
Anyway.
Yeah, which I think My Pet Monster was kind of its target audience was both boys and girls because it was colorful and it was fluffy and it was a plush. That was you could either just cuddle with it or play with it. It didn't matter which. So that's what Pet Monster was. But the fact that they made a live action adaptation of My Pet Monster and they did this trailer because when I first saw it was like, oh, this is a television show, but you do deeper, it's actually a movie and you can actually watch the movie on YouTube.
Yeah, because High Top Video has loaded everything they own onto YouTube.
Yes, which I can imagine because they won't be able to actually see their stuff.
And they probably can't afford to actually put it on a DVD.
Probably not. But yeah, the fact that they made a My Pet Monster movie. And I remember My Pet Monster as a child, as a kid. I was like, that's freaking cool. This is better than the 2 films combined, or the 2 TV shows we just watched. This little 2-minute trailer made the entire experience a joy. Just to watch.
Just because it was different.
Exactly.
And granted, it was a trailer. Yes. They edited together probably the best parts of that movie. Yeah. So, bear in mind, the whole kit and caboodle could be just as bad as this was. But.
Agreed. It's like it was such a breath of fresh air to watch this little trailer for a movie, which you can now go watch on YouTube. If your heart desires to go watch it, you can watch it on YouTube. So yeah, that is my third and final like for Madballs, is that they had a trailer for My Pet Monster. You're welcome.
What is your first dislike?
Oy. Let me find.
just to keep this Madball train a rolling.
Yeah. Insane, grotesque, ugly. My first would be the lackluster story. This was a very cut and dry, boring as can be story. Be like, it's if you were a kid from the 80s, which I was, Drew was too, and you got such amazing cartoons that came out of the 1980s. Now, granted, they were all pretty much self-promotion. Hey, we're trying to sell toys to kids.
Which is all this was trying to do.
That's all it's trying to do. It's all trying to do. Thanks, President Reagan. So with that saying, be like, you had so many amazing stories like He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers, DuckTales, woo! And all these amazing shows that came out during the 1980s and had amazing storytelling. This is boring as watching sand dry.
And the thing is, because this is also going to be my first dislike also, this trope is old.
Oh, yeah, by this point.
Even by the time this came out, you've got, we're slaves and we're going to escape on a spaceship to go to another planet to play rock and roll music. Okay, so I know the rock and roll band thing was a thing in the 80s, but I think it was more of a thing in the 70s. For second, they licensed 2 50 songs to play during the 80s, and one of them was Great Balls of Fire. That they played 3 times. Once during the intro credits, once during the outro credits, and in the climax song in the middle of it. And then there was another song. I don't remember what the song was, but I know it's also a 50s era song. And it's like, okay, the music here is not bad, but you also put nothing into it except for changing a couple words to make it Madballs related. Okay, so this is a standard thing most shows have done, except at least with stuff like all the Scooby-Doo television shows. They wrote original songs in a lot of cases, or they put more work into the songs instead of just ripping some old songs and then re-performing them. Granted, these were low-budget shows. They probably didn't have the money for a songwriter. It probably was cheaper to go and license these 2 older songs. But at the same time, it's like, And then, of course, there's now evil Madballs, which is funny when you consider that the Madballs themselves are all monsters. So what do we do to make evil Madballs? We give them all orcish faces and then dress them as the Food Fights Brand X villains.
Yeah.
Evil
dictators.
This is Eva Longoria's evil band of balls.
Yes.
That sounded weird.
That did sound weird.
But if you remember Food Fight, Eva Longoria's character, in her as poorly animated as she was the spokeswoman for Brand X. And and Brand X was basically a Nazi military organization inside this grocery store. And they had the not Nazi hats, but the big military hats with the big X on it, like they were evil X-Men. And that's what these Madballs were wearing. Yeah. These evil Madballs. It's like, that is literally just the generic sign for this is evil, and we have not put much thought into it. Okay, I can live with this to some degree. They're also all buffoons.
Yes.
They serve no threat. Which is good, because the Madballs themselves are all also idiots. And I just... when you get right down to it, while there was effort in making this, is one of my likes, my dislike is the writing in general, because good night, it's bad.
It is bad.
It is very bad.
Terrible.
The writers, they turned in their first draft, I'm half convinced, on both.
It was a cash grab.
Gross jokes that did at least once or twice get a giggle out of me, but I think those were flukes. And I'm more of like, my brain is shutting down and is trying to grasp on the first clever thing I hear in this very shallow pool of intelligence that I'm currently wading in.
Extremely shallow.
But that's, in both of these, I think my biggest issue is the writing.
Yes. Agreed. The writing itself is actually, like, again, going back to my first, is like, you have all these amazing shows coming in the 1980s. You have all this amazing product coming in the 80s. You have Madballs, which is a very popular, successful franchise, and it's literally.
And granted, they made lore for it.
They did. I do applaud them for their effort to making an actual plot and effort behind what's going on.
The problem is its execution in script form is terrible, and the actors did the best they could with what they were given.
Exactly. And it's just it is sad to watch.
This may have succeeded if they'd been given a script doctor.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
go over it and tighten the script up, actually make funny jokes.
Yeah.
And then maybe this thing would have sold
Possibly.
a lot better. Maybe we could have gotten a couple other episodes.
Yeah.
But what we got was this, and it's pitiful.
It is very, very pitiful.
What's your second dislike?
My second dislike is the understanding why it failed. And we just kind of went over that.
Yeah.
Poor writing, poor jokes. Like, you're using jokes from almost 30 years ago.
You have used every joke, every ball pun possible. I think the only thing we didn't hear was something about rolling along.
Yes. And oh my God. Like, I understand this is a cash grab. This is be like, hey, let's make some money with this because it's a popular toy line. Like, granted, like I said before, they did do some effort with background and lore and everything else, but it's done so poorly. Like, the characters aren't appealing. The story isn't appealing. The human characters are more annoying than anything else because you have two kids who are running like some kind of musical theater.
That's what I didn't understand. Is like, they're obviously kids, but they talk like they're adults.
Yeah, exactly. They're not written as children.
No, they're not written as children, but they're obviously children.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, does that mean if we actually see children, are these adults, and are their children even smaller than they are? Because they already look like they're 8.
Yes.
What do their 8-year-olds look like? 2? Yeah. We know why it failed when you look at this, and that's because it's not very well written. I can understand maybe having nostalgia for it, because I know Bobbo had some nostalgia for this.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the primary reason I think he wanted us to review this. But even in his notes, he says there are certain flaws with the cartoon he didn't see as much when he was a kid. There are a lot of flaws in this. And it does leave a lot to be desired.
It does. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, you can go back and watch your favorite cartoon when you were a kid. Like, it doesn't matter what generation you are.
Even stuff looking back on, okay, yeah, this was going to be bad.
Yeah. Like I enjoyed He-Man when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Going back and watching the actual show, it's like, okay, this is interesting, but it gets incredibly repetitive, really, really fast.
I have a prediction. There was a TV show I watched as a kid on Saturday mornings. You probably remember it. It's the kind of thing most people would have turned off, but because I didn't have that many channels that actually played Saturday morning cartoons, I think I watched some of these episodes, and that was Bobby's World.
Oh, I hated Bobby's World.
I know I watched it, and it was okay. I'm fairly certain if I went back and watched it now, I'd fall asleep before we got out of the opening sequence. But there are a lot of shows back then like this that actually, another good one, Road Rovers.
I remember something about Road
Rovers as a show I remember enjoying as a kid. I tried to watch an episode recently. Bear in mind, this is technically in that Steven Spielberg Presents line. It did not age as well as the rest of it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, because there are so many nostalgic shows that we grew up watching that had this air of, oh my gosh, as a kid, this is amazing, this is gold. And then you realize when your parents were watching as an adult, it's like, this is so stupid. It's like, as a kid, as a child, oh my gosh, this was geared towards you because it was silly and stupid. Or it had just enough action and got the boys interested or what have you. as an adult, oh my gosh, that must cringe. Be like, it's almost like you want to go back and apologize for your parents for like having them sit through this garbage. Now, granted, as a kid, be like, we watch like Thundercats, and I'll be like, shows that are really good shows for me. And
okay, let's be honest. I watched Power Rangers and Masked Rider
Yes.
and Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Yes.
I will not ask forgiveness for Power Rangers because going back and watching it, it's actually, I still think it's, for as cheesy and childish as it is, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
However, Masked Rider and Big Bad Beetleborgs. Oh, Furbus.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the Jay Leno genie.
Oh gosh, yes.
I don't remember his name. I just remember that like even as a kid going, is that Jay Leno?
That's what I kept thinking. I was like, oh my gosh, isn't
Doing
that a
an
guy
Elvis impression?
Oh.
And I will ask forgiveness for making my parents have to walk through the room while that was on, but not Power Rangers.
No.
Because
No.
that's just stupid fun.
Yes, agreed. But yeah, it's like when you're a kid, you have nostalgia glasses on, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I love this." And like I said, like Bobbo as a kid, it's just like, "Wow, this is amazing." But like he said in his note, there was more. It's like, yeah, it doesn't really hold up, and there's a lot of things that don't hold up. This definitely did not hold up because I think as a kid, I probably may haven't enjoyed it. But again, knowing my sensibilities, even as a kid, I didn't like gross out stuff. So I never would have enjoyed this.
I can tell you I would have been in the same boat because I don't like gross out stuff either. Like I said, I'm fairly certain I have one of these things. I'm fairly certain it was not something I begged for. I'm fairly certain it was a gift from a well-meaning relative. But yeah. Third dislike?
Rushmore.
He does say, to point out what he's mentioning, Rushmore in the chat says, Thundercats, just like He-Man, ages horribly, but it is still so great.
Yes, agreed.
You know what? I'm fine with a comment like that because you know what else aged poorly, but is still great, that I watched as a kid? Beast Wars.
Oh yeah, I love Beast Wars.
I love Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Animation is horrible.
Oh yeah,
It was great at the time,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you look back at it now, it's like, oh, wow.
yes. Oh my
Some
gosh,
of this does not work.
no, it
And
didn't.
then you get to some of the older anime stuff from the 80s where it's getting very crunchy. And then you got stuff like Speed Racer.
I
didn't watch much Speed Racer, but I didn't know enough about it to get all the jokes about talking about it this fast.
Yes.
And then something I eventually do want to get on this show during a TAS segment. Not next, because next is going to be your pick.
Yes.
I do want us to do Star Trek the Animated Series.
Oh gosh.
And that is 60s era crunch.
nom crunchy.
But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Third dislike.
Third dislike. Great balls of fire. Good.
They did overplay that song.
Oh my gosh! Like Drew said, it's the intro, it's the outro, and it's the song they play because oh my gosh, we want to play rock and roll. Oh my gosh, they banned music. What is this? Ariel, the beginning, the third film they made, which was absolutely horrendous. Do not get me started on that movie. That is a terrible movie.
There is a video game that came out late 90s, early 2000s, starring Aerosmith. I need to look at the name of it real quick. But it's basically a post-apocalyptic dictators taking over everything, and you are trying to free the world by shooting CDs at the back. This is why those little point-and-shoot games in the arcades, and Aerosmith is cheering you on because you're trying to get them to their concert or something to that
I remember
effect.
something about that. But
I think it's Aerosmith.
The fact.
Revolution X. Thank you, Rushmore.
Oh, okay.
Revolution X was the name of that game.
Oh, my.
I played it at band camp. Because they had a little arcade there at SFA, and I played it there. I remember thinking I was getting away with something, and I don't know why I thought I was getting away with it, other than that kind of music is not what we would have been listening to in my house. Because my dad doesn't like heavy rock like that. But anyway.
It's modern classic rock.
I like it.
Yeah,
and I
agree.
know I'm not getting away with it. I know I can listen to it now and it not matter as long as I don't listen to it around him.
Exactly.
But at the time, it's like I felt like I'm getting away with something that I shouldn't be doing.
Oh my gosh, my parents were like, "Oh, this sounds good." Now,
Bearing in mind, I had already gone through a time watching Power Rangers and dealing with that butt rock. Good butt rock, but it was butt rock.
yes, my third dislike is Great Balls of Fire is played way too much. And again, like Drew said, they're taking songs from the 50s and 60s. This is a show produced in the late mid 80s. Mm-hmm. So you're talking 20 to 30 years later that is no longer in vogue. And they're doing things that are, if they were to have done this in the 1970s,
you could have got away with it.
It would have been fine because it's 10 years old. 10 to 20 years old at that point. It's still fine. It's still in the zeitgeist.
I can tell you why they picked these two songs.
Because it fits the theme.
Great Balls of Fire. Literally, the word ball is in there.
Yeah.
So since they chose Great Balls of Fire, which I don't think actually is 50s. I think it might be 50s.
It's 1961.
61. Okay. So musically 50s.
Yeah, musically
we're
50s.
not into flower power stuff at the
No.
But they decided since that was the style of music the Madballs played, they had to pick another song from that era. That's the reasoning why.
Fair.
That being said, okay,
Could they done something?
if I ever have to hear this version of Great Balls of Fire played ever again, it will be too soon.
Yeah, because all I think of is the movie Top Gun and where Goose and everybody else is playing Great Balls of Fire.
That's different.
That's different because it's the 1980s. It's a bunch of guys in the Navy or
In the Navy.
doing Top Gun, fighter pilots. It's just a fun book. This is overkill, and definitely the version they play in the song where the band is playing, they don't do anything different. It's literally the same song, same beat, same melody, everything, except they change one or two words. And it's like, oh, this is a cool, hip song. It's like, wait a minute. My grandpa listens to that. That's boring. Why in the world do I want to watch this? It's like, I understand, you want to go in and make it your own, change it.
If you'd have done an 80s rock version of Great Balls
exactly.
of Fire,
Oh my
it would have been
gosh.
fine.
Yeah, make it a hair band metal, like hair band.
Especially since you have Freakella singing it, who's got, the big hair metal type hair.
That would have been perfect. But no, it's like, okay, let's rip this song from the the early 60s and just shove it in the song and make a little melody out of it and play in the middle. It's like, really? You're going to play Great Balls of Fire? Top Gun did it better.
Rushmore says in the chat, wait, Top Gun is in the 80s and it's okay, but Madballs is in the 80s and you can't, LOL. The difference here is not that... that's different because you do actually... It is actually done well. Mm-hmm. I would say in Madballs, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's actually a very annoying rendition. But yeah.
Yeah, it's with Top Gun itself. That was a movie that...
With Top Gun, it was actually interesting to watch them play it.
Yeah, it was.
Here, it was, oh, look, they're playing it, and isn't that tropey? Isn't that funny? Because they're Madballs, and they're singing Great Balls of Fire. Wow.
And they've already played the song once already.
When it played the intro, it's like, okay, that's a clever use of it. I can live with it as the theme song. Mm-hmm. Of course, it gets reused as the outro because that's how all these shows worked back then.
Of course.
And yeah, it wasn't like sung in the outro. It was, of course, the instrumental version. Mm-hmm. That would be fine.
Yeah.
But then it's also an insert song used in the climax, and it really doesn't work there. Mm-mm. Especially after they had played another version another song earlier in the film that actually probably would have worked better and made more sense storyline wise. This was just an excuse like, okay, we did that, so let's do it. Anyway, my third dislike.
Yeah, go for your third dislike.
It's not funny.
No, it's not.
I consider this different from writing because you can still be funny and have poor writing. This is just not funny because they push jokes in your face. All these stupid little jokes. Granted, I think we focus mainly on Escape from War because there's actually more to talk about there. All across both episodes, both Escape from War and Gross Jokes, the jokes aren't funny. They're not. Escape from War just keeps throwing jokes at it, thinking, oh, one of these is going to stick, and it never really does amongst its plot. Including, for some reason, Freakella changing her hair at the end and then making a joke about that. And literally, it's like a joke, like it's a quick joke. It's like that wasn't even a funny joke to go out on. And then you get into gross jokes, and every single joke is a groaner. I don't mean it's a good pun.
It's just bad.
mean it's ugh. It's like you're digging yourself deep. When this thing at the very in its opening says, if you are looking for an exciting career line as a lawn ornament, it is being honest and truthful. They knew what this was. It's bad jokes. It's not funny. Even if it's stuff that the kids... I don't even think kids would have liked this. Granted, I didn't watch it with a bunch of kids. I watched it by myself. But usually, the stuff I watched at that age, I can still laugh at nowadays. Now, granted, I'm not a gross out humor guy, and maybe that's all this was, but I just suspect that the jokes not being funny is 9/10 of why this thing failed. With the other 10th being the poor writing of the plot line in the one episode. So I don't know. Maybe I'm putting too much of my nearly 40-year-old self into this. I kind of have to because that's just how people are. But none of these were that funny. These weren't even good gross out jokes.
No, they weren't.
For that age. So, I mean, Home Alone is probably the best example of what Rushmore is saying. I mean, the audience was like 8, and my second graders laugh at groaners. Rushmore, the kind of humor I feel like you're referring to is the stuff like in Home Alone, the first Home Alone movie. This isn't that funny. It's nowhere near that funny. It's not even that groan-worthy. This is like... I literally felt like I was losing IQ points. I sent a text message to Jacob saying, I feel like I'm growing dumber watching this.
Well, to quote Drew, his quote was, to quote Drew, I think I'm losing brain cells.
Yeah. I was feeling the brain rot. If I start talking about Skibbity Toilet, you know why. It's because I watched this. For people who actually know what a Skibbity Toilet is, because I certainly do not. And my joke didn't fit. I'm sorry, I'm nearly 40 years old. I'm doing the best I can. No cap. And that is the closest I know to any of the current slang. Anyway, yeah. The jokes weren't funny, and that's my third dislike.
Okay.
What are you rating this?
I'm curious what you're rating it.
Believe it or not, I'm giving it a 5.
Whoa!
And here's why.
Okay.
Here is why.
Okay.
It's mediocre.
Okay, fair.
For the most part, I think it would have been fine. Bobbo in the chat saying, I know a movie like that when Bottom Shelf comes calling. This is not dumpster fire worthy. Here's the thing. In terms of bad movies that we've watched on this show, there's still a lot below it.
Yeah.
Leo the Lion, obviously.
Oh, good. Not yes.
The Titanic, The Legend of Titanic. I had to say the right one. I think is worse than this. Food Fight, I think, is about on par with this. And Food Fight almost gets a pass anytime I take it up because we know half the movie is missing and was finished at the last minute with no budget.
Yes.
This could... I think the thing that really hurts this the most, for me anyway, as a failed pilot, is that I kind of do still see the potential in this that's never going to be fulfilled because it just didn't do enough here in order to actually get more money put into it. So that's kind of why I'm giving it a 5, is that it could have... I can see the potential. It could be good with just a little bit more a little bit more put into it. Because the parts I don't like, they're almost easy fixes. Like I said, we need a script doctor to have gone over this for the first episode.
Yeah.
Leave gross jokes out. That one, don't even worry about it. But Escape from Orb, you have a decent pilot there that you could really kick up a notch very easily, and actually make a decent show based on it that would have done about as well as half the stuff that we saw on TV as kids during Saturday morning cartoons.
Agreed.
Would it have been like as well remembered as the He-Man, the Thundercats, and stuff like that? Probably not.
No.
But I mean, there was stuff here that they could have. It's good enough that I think if you put just a little bit more into it, you would have at least a half decent cartoon on your hands.
Yeah, because I think if this would have went through, you would have had, like Drew said, a little bit more script doctoring, a little more here or there. But like, it could have been one of those shows that was remembered by a lot of kids.
The biggest issue I have with this is that it's mediocre.
Yeah, it's very mediocre.
It's very mediocre. There's unlike most of our bad movie month stuff, there's almost no fun in reviewing this because every single part of it is like, this is just bad. Here's a couple of good things, but there's nothing here that's just like gloriously bad. It's like, oh yeah, this was never going to make it. No, this could have made it.
It could have.
It could have made it. But unfortunately, it just didn't have enough staying power with the right people. And so it never got any more development on it to make it better. So, yeah. I give it a 5 because it's got potential. It's almost, I would call it halfway decent. It just needs a little bit more work to actually get fully up to halfway decent, if that makes sense.
Fair.
So yeah, 5.
Yeah, so before I lay my judgment upon these two failed pilots of a TV show. Now, if you enjoyed these as a kid, you somehow watched them, be like you have
at
used
no point say that we think your taste is bad.
Yeah, no.
This is just not working for us.
No. Yeah, so mine would be a little lower. It's a 4. It's a 4. Be like, it's got the animation's legible. It's legible. It's okay to watch, but story isn't good. This, again, we're watching it as an adult. I think as a kid, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it. Like Drew said, he probably wouldn't enjoy it either. But as I think, like this was intended as a children's show from the 1980s, and to take that into account, it's just, for me, I didn't enjoy this at all. It was never funny. Like, even trying to put myself in a mindset that this is a child's potential TV show, and it was at any point funny. So that's where it failed as a pilot. And again, it had a very popular toy line that lasted until 2019, allegedly. So off and on until 2019. And again, someone might pick up the license to it and do it again. So again, nostalgia is huge now, definitely for people our age. So yeah, they're just throwing everything in the 1980s at us. So yeah, go buy this. But yeah, I'm giving this a 4.
Bobbo in the chat says that he loves watching failed pilots, and that we definitely got off easy with this one. We know.
Yes.
Honestly, we do know, because we've seen worse.
Yes, we have.
And this is not a bragging thing by any means, but we have seen worse. And we're going into Bad Movie Month, where I'm going to tell you right now, from what little I know of some of the ones we're doing this month, this actually was not as bad as those. But those might be more fun to laugh at than this one is. Because I think that's the other thing here, is that there's nothing so gloriously bad that we can have fun laughing at it.
Yeah, agreed.
Whereas next week, or 2 weeks from now,
yes,
when we will have a certain Nathan Marchand from the Monster Island Film Vault, probably in full kayfabe for that one.
Probably.
We'll be back for in 2 weeks for In Search of Titanic.
Oh my gosh.
The Return of Tentacles. That's not the actual name.
No.
I'm just putting that in there. And that's, of course, the beginning of Bad Movie Month. where we look at movies that are, by nobody's stretch of the imagination, bad. Although there is one or two in here that might be on some people's like lists for nostalgic reasons.
Possibly.
But we'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
In the meantime, why don't we have a quick intermission? Mm-hmm. You know, shout out some of our Culture Box people and a couple other people.
Yes.
And then let's talk some Spy Family.
Yes.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. You can find all of their content at geekdevotions.com. The Cellcast would also like to thank, first, the following non-Patreon patron, that being Thats Our Bobbo.
Thank you,
He will
Bobbo.
continue getting these special shout-outs till the end of the month. Also, our patrons on Patreon, that being Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, PaulJPowers.com, The Monster Island Film Vault, and Edwin Gonzalez. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, my brain just farted. What's the third thing?
Uncut episodes?
Uncut episodes. That's what I'm missing. Special uncut episodes. See, my brain cells haven't quite grown back yet. You can donate to us at the $5 level, and at the $10 level, we do still have one more spot open for 2024 to force us, within reason, to review a movie of your choosing. And right now, that spot is at Christmas, so make us watch your favorite animated Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what we're kind of going for.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do that.
James Bond Jr. Impossible. Call me Big Man if you wanna reach me. When you wanna face me, it's okay.
The man calls it Stone.
What an agent, what a squirrel. He's got the country in a whirl. What's his name? Shh, secret squirrel.
Johnny Quest.
Anybody want a peanut?
Mission 19. A revenge plot against Desmond, and Mama Becomes the Wind. First aired on November 12th, 2022. It was directed by Hidekazu Hara and written by Rino Yamazaki and Ayuma Hisao. This episode ends the midterm exams arc. Mm-hmm. In this episode, George, a boy in Anya's class who believes he will be forced to leave Eden, is treated to a luxurious final day of class. And then Yor dashes to Eden to deliver Anya her gym clothes while Lloyd tails her. Trivia for this episode. This is actually the second appearance of George Gluman. Because he did appear in the background shot in the last episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense, because you're setting the character up in order to bring him into the episode. That makes
He
sense.
was not in the manga, though, in that shot.
Really?
In last episode.
Huh.
He was added for the anime in that shot, even though this chapter does exist in the manga. But he wasn't drawn in that first, in the manga during last episode's adaptation. Anyway, so yeah, this is the second one. I think I alluded to that they introduced a character, but then didn't actually tell you who he was. Mama Becomes the Wind is an original story exclusive to the anime, which technically makes it the first part of filler.
Yes.
Yours, imagined disguised as a teacher, resembles a Twitter illustration Endo, the manga's creator, made for Chapter 5.
Oh, okay.
When Anya taps the ashamed George on the shoulder, the leaf she gave him earlier flies into the frame and past George. Because, everyone else was giving him something.
Yeah.
Says, "You can have this leaf I found." What are your thoughts on this episode?
Oh my gosh. Again, it's more Anya. It's more this goofy little girl who is so paranoid. Oh my gosh, if I don't do this right, the mission's over. Daddy's going to do this, XYZ. It's always hysterical. So again, like it's like obviously it's Anya being Anya, but you also have this introduction of like Desmond, like you get this, the plot is unfolded that it's like, oh yeah, they were trying to destroy the Desmond family.
No.
Am I wrong?
George Gluman is the one who hired Daybreak.
Yes, that's right.
Daybreak was apparently the best spy money 3 months of allowance could afford.
Yes.
3 of George Gluman's allowance could afford.
Yes. Which was hysterical.
And if you don't remember that episode last time, it was to change Desmond's grade so he would fail.
Mm-hmm.
And Twilight ended up fixing what Daybreak changed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Which is how this comes to light, is that Anya hears George's thoughts. And the entire time, George just thinks, the reason he's doing any of this is because he thinks that his father's company is going bankrupt. Come to find out, not only is the company not going bankrupt, the reason it's not going bankrupt is because the Desmond Group bought the company.
Yes.
His father is still going to get to stay on at the company in the R&D department. He's just not going to be leadership anymore. And he's still going to get to go to school. Whatever, all of his fears would have been taken care of had he just gone in immediately and asked his father instead of making assumptions.
So there
was literally no reason for last week's episode with Daybreak and this week's episode to occur.
Yeah. So in the same
none of the rest of the family was involved with it. It was just George.
It was just George. And so it's all that very where it's these kids, they overthink things and they were like, oh my gosh, this happens, because kids be like the wonderful thing, because they write children as children. It's not
that's the nice thing about this.
It's wonderful how they write the students in the show. It's absolutely hysterical, and every character in this show is a little over dramatized, a little over dramatic with everything that happens, so it makes it funnier, especially the mother, I'm losing her name for a second. Yeah, Yor is absolutely hysterical about everything. But this episode in particular, this part of this episode is absolutely just funny because you have George who is, oh my gosh, this happened. I'm going to be banished. My family's going to be ruined, and we're going to
be trafficked into West Solace.
I'm not going to be able to return to school. Oh, woe is me. And like Desmond feels pity on him. And like, oh, here's this. And it's just like he starts, okay, George, what are you doing? And then like all the other students are feeling bad for him. They're like, oh my gosh, we're going to miss you. This whole hoorah. Oh my gosh. Be like, you're always gonna be a part of us. We're gonna miss you, but you're never gonna be forgotten. And then if he would have talked to his father, be like, and again, children don't think like that.
He has to come back to school the next day, and everybody hates him. It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
you're supposed to be gone. You gotta give us all that stuff back.
Absolutely,
you owe me a juice box.
Absolutely hysterical. Absolutely. It's like, oh my gosh, the walk of shame back into school after you did all this stuff.
After you got them to sing a choir song for you.
Yes.
And made Damien dance for the weirdest dance I ever saw.
It is weird. But it is absolutely hysterical. This character, he's doing the walk of shame because he made such a blunder. And it's absolutely hysterical. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, why are you here?" Be like, you were going to rue the day doing what you just did.
And then you got the original story.
Yes.
Where Yor thinks that Anya left her gym clothes at home.
Of course.
She did leave her gym clothes at home.
She
To be
did.
honest. What Yor didn't realize is that Anya didn't need her gym clothes that day. And she tries to get to school fast enough to get it to her before she goes to gym class. Mm-hmm. And apparently Lloyd's not at the hospital that day because he's spying on Anya and sees Yor come to school. And he doesn't know why she's there.
And he thinks it's this and this, and oh my gosh, she's gonna ruin the mission. She's gonna do this because he has no idea who Yor actually is.
Yeah,
and it's absolutely hysterical.
I will say about this episode, when I originally watched this show, I'm slightly ashamed to admit that I did not catch on that they were in Ostania.
Yeah.
I thought that Lloyd, Agent Twilight, and Thorn Princess and Anya were all on the same side.
Yeah.
It was not until I watched this episode and George says, "I'm going to get traffic to Westalis." And I'm going, wait. Bear in mind, it's just I missed a piece of logic when I first watched this, and it just never occurred to me to even double check anything. Because I knew Lloyd worked for Westalis, because the organization he works for is WISE, which is an acronym for Westalis Intelligence something or other.
Yeah.
But it's their intelligence agency. I'm going, wait, that means Anya and Yor are Estonians. The Thorn Princess probably is her organization. The shop is probably working with. Why did I not catch this? Yuri works for the secret police.
Oh my word!
But this was the episode I remember going, holy crap! This could get very interesting very quickly. I thought they were chasing after someone local who was going to be causing problems.
Nope.
That wasn't it.
Nope.
It would help. I would have caught, I think, this faster if Astania was more like how I pictured a East German community.
Okay.
But I mean, admittedly, it probably wasn't like how I thought it was.
Nope.
So either way.
And again, be like, this show is so. Be like, it's a spy drama show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it has this heightened level of humor that just cranks everything to 11 because all our characters think XYZ is going to happen. It doesn't happen. But they're so heightened to this point of hysterical that they overreact to everything, including Lloyd, a.k.a. Twilight. It's absolutely hysterical. Or go back to the previous episode where we have Daybreak, and be like, oh my gosh,
that is hilarious.
Oh my gosh, like everything in this show is absolutely hysterical, like cranked to 11 of in conspiracy into just paranoia and everything, and like the children's students. The student characters are absolutely hysterical because they're acting like kids, and the adults are just acting like paranoid adults.
Yeah,
and absolutely, it's hysterical to watch. I'm very good that Bond is just a forcing, not forcing. What's the word for that? His ability to see into the future.
An oracle.
Yeah, an oracle. His oracle abilities.
Well, foresee. Yeah, he can foresee the future.
He can foresee the future. And it is absolutely hysterical. And I find it just humorous beyond belief. So, yeah, this was a great episode. And getting into the next episode.
Episode 2.
20.
Mission 20 as episode 2 of the night. Mission 20 Investigating the General Hospital, and Decipher the Perplexing Code. Originally aired on November 19th, 2022.
Yes.
This is the beginning of the Camp Beldon tennis arc.
Oh, what?
That will come up later.
Okay.
But this technically has to be the beginning because we do introduce a character here. In this episode, Lloyd takes Anya to the hospital he works at for a school project. Anya spreads a hidden code to her neighbors and classmates. Frankie believes a woman may finally be interested in him.
Oh my gosh.
Poor Frankie.
Frankie. Oh my gosh.
Poor scruffy head.
Yeah, I love it when they bring Frankie in. It's just, oh my gosh, he's the constant dreamer. Oh my gosh, women are gonna fall all over me and blah 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 blah, and he just winds up falling right in his face, but every time. Mm-hmm. I understand that in a way.
Yeah,
I do.
Trivia for this episode: we have the first appearance of Fiona Frost.
Yes, I kept wondering, like, who the crap is this white-haired...
I'm not going to tell you anything more about her other than she does work for Wise.
Yes.
That much is obvious from watching it.
Yes.
But more coming up on her during the Camp Beldon tennis arc.
Nice.
I can't wait for you to see this. Decipher the Perplexing Code is an original story exclusive to the anime. Mm-hmm. However, Frankie's hideout makes its debut in this episode, while in the manga, its first appearance is in chapter 60, literally 40 stories from now. So, we do get a little bit at beginning. The mailman that Anya tries to give the code to is the same mailman from the end of episode 1.
Absolutely hysterical, this whole little bit.
All the blood in Yor's imagination sequence of showing Anya her job is colored pink instead of red. So she's killing Klingons. No, she's not killing Klingons. This could be Danganronpa, but I have to. But if I go into that, I'll have to explain that. But all the blood in that show is pink too to get around censorship.
Yeah,
which is why it's pink here.
Yes.
Anya's detective outfit has a different appearance in the anime. In the manga, the hat and jacket both have a checkered pattern. In the anime, the checkered pattern is only on the sides of the hat, while the front of the hat and jacket lack the pattern. Probably to look more like Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
However, the concept art of Anya wearing the detective outfit that appears on the cover of the episode script keeps the outfit's original appearance from the manga. At 8 minutes into the episode, while Lloyd and Anya are talking to the hospital staff, the shot zooms out and a shadow can be seen around the corner on the left, which leaves shortly after. This shadow is likely Fiona Frost, but it also could be Gerald Gorey overhearing the praise Lord is receiving from his coworkers. And I don't know who Gerald Gorey is. I don't remember who he is, so we'll see about that. In the manga, Damien, Ewan, and Emil's reaction to Anya's report was not shown. So what are your thoughts on this episode?
Oh my gosh. So
what are your thoughts about a ghost in the ductwork?
My gosh. So my first initial thought when it's a general hospital. Now to give you a very brief synopsis of this. So when I was in third or fourth grade, my mom pulled us out for various reasons. It's a little too long to go here, but we did homeschool for 2 years. And so my mom be like, there was nothing on in the middle of the day. So you would watch like One Life to Live and General Hospital, all this stuff. So
these are the days of their lives.
Well, that was a different channel. But the
like sands through the hourglass.
Yes. So if you already got some college credits, let this run for a second.
If you give it to me, I can actually. Is it just the theme song?
Yeah, it's just the theme song.
Yeah, if I do it, it'll actually play on
exactly.
the thing. So
yeah, so just forget about it. Like you can hear that anyway.
Hang on. I get it.
Get it, got it good. But yeah, like this.
Hang on. Don't jump ahead when you already got me on a mission.
Yeah, so be like, I remember this show very, very. I'd be like, I guarantee for someone like me who watched this for like 2 years and you watch this plot development the entire time, be like, you know who Jason was and this character and this character and this character. I guarantee I could probably hop back into the show now and probably figure out a hop, skip, and a jump where story is, because it's soap operas. They don't move that fast with story. So whenever someone says General Hospital, I get this theme song, or my mom's great late dog Nibbles, who, like, anytime you heard the theme song to General Hospital, he howled. Ow! And it was hysterical, and I cherish those with a very fondness. But anyway, going into the proper review of this episode, oh my word, Anya. Oh my gosh. Anya, and just like, oh yeah, they have the assignment. They have to go and career day with their mother or father or whoever, and
okay. Before we
Go
get
ahead.
into the actual thing, I do want to talk about what is ironically the closest explanation of how yours organization works.
Yes.
Yeah, all of this, because it goes on for 3 minutes.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, this should have been a quick joke, but keep going. I'm loving this. But the idea that Anya dressed as Thorn Princess,
hysterical,
and then them chasing after these villains, and Anya keeping up with her, because all this is in a vision, like an imagination moment, and she gets into it, she's explaining how best to kill the guy, so he dies quickly.
It's all bleeping the words.
Beep, 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 beep. And she turns around and like, oh my goodness, it's all over you. Why don't you just tell your daddy we went to the tomato festival?
Yes.
Which, considering where we live, brings a whole new meaning.
Yes, it does. Oh my gosh.
Because we have a tomato festival here.
We do. The town we live in is absolutely hysterical. Yeah, no, definitely don't want tomato sauce everywhere. No. No.
That tomato
sauce. Ugh. And it's pink, not red.
Well, that's so they didn't have to up the rating
exactly,
of the show.
Which is absolutely hysterical. So she's clinging on.
Fine, but red is wrong.
Yeah, red is completely wrong. It could have been green. It's like, okay, so you're killing a Vulcan.
No, but instead we're killing Klingons. Actually, Yor could take out some Klingons.
That is true. So then we get Anya goes with Lloyd to the hospital, which obviously
to learn about him being a feelings doctor.
A feelings doctor.
Because that's the only way she can understand psychiatrist.
Or
as she says in her report, a spychiatrist.
Spychiatrist. Oh my gosh. It's like everyone's so confused because it's a first grade class?
First year. I don't know how that lines up.
Yeah,
I think technically this falls in kindergarten.
Maybe.
Based on what we know, but this is supposed to be first year.
Yeah, first year. So first year is like 5 to 6 years old.
Pretty much.
So, and it's just so hysterical. The professor, oh my gosh, he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about this. Oh my, everything's over dramatic. Huh?
Targets?
That's
what, because after Anya actually says describes patients as targets.
Yeah, patients as targets.
He goes, targets?
Targets? What? Like, I didn't know that.
This is not elegant.
I didn't realize this. Like, I didn't know about this man. Oh my gosh, what's going on?
That sounds like Lloyd Forger.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that doesn't. Maybe I misunderstood him. Because she starts talking about what Yor told her about concussive therapy.
Concussive therapy. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. But let's not forget. Let us not forget. So Anya goes into Lloyd's therapy room.
Yeah, and Lloyd leaves her there to go talk to
he's
Fiona.
Yeah, and so he's dialoguing to himself, and like, oh yeah, the secret passageway with this and this and this, and obviously Anya can hear him. Cool! Oh my gosh!
She gets him out of there. He leaves what she's supposed to be doing is she's got this sandbox that they apparently use for therapy that you can arrange all the toys in a certain way to express how you're feeling. And I love how after he says, doesn't that sound like fun? And her thought is, that sounds sporing. And he leaves, so she goes and opens the thing and crawls.
The one she wanted to do.
Crawls into the secret passage and causes a bunch of scientists who probably never believed in the occult before to become firm believers in ghosts.
The paranoia.
And the paranormal.
Yes.
Like,
oh my gosh.
because she gets her foot stuck in the piping and is making like a bunch of noise while they're talking about how some ghost is convinced, not some ghosts, some patients are convinced that the hospital is haunted.
And they hear her whining and moaning and everything.
Whining because she's trying to get her foot unstuck and she's not really paying attention. Finally, she gets free.
And then she realizes she has to get back to the...
Gets back down, and she overhears Lloyd say, "I wonder what Anya has made," and she goes, "Oh crap!" and she just dumps the toys all in the sandbox. He comes and is like, "I had no idea that her life was this chaotic. I'm doing a poor job as a father, both as a caretaker and as my cover. I really should be paying more attention to her." And literally, she's like, "I just threw them all in there at once." Why are all these dolls buried? That's because of they got destroyed in the disaster.
Oh yeah, that's right. And he's just psychologically pulling it together.
It's like, that's not what's going on. She literally was trying not to get in trouble because this is Anya.
Of course,
she's a 4-year-old pretending to be a 6-year-old. And trying so she can hang out with her spy father and assassin mother, which is so cool. Oh, waka wak! to use the Japanese word,
waka wak,
waka wak,
waka wak. I don't speak Japanese.
I don't speak Japanese. But anyway.
Oh my god.
And then the code. The perplexing code. Which is like, I follow what you're doing there.
Because it's Anya.
It's Anya. But here's it's kind of interesting that the same bridge that episode of Bondman was filmed on is the same bridge that she's going to send Frankie to. And the code knew to send him there. And she can't write it to save her life. So she gets to write it out for her.
Oh yeah, hold on. Just before we go into this little part, the point where Anya she's written all her notes for
in pink crayon.
In pink crayon.
Having trouble. I'm sorry, I couldn't let that go. I didn't want to get you while you were still recovering.
Waka waka! Snarf snarf! Oh my gosh! Oh, okay. Don't do it. So, before we get into the next part of the episode, the part where Anya's been writing in her little notebook about what Lloyd does the entire part of this episode, and she's
been
like
writing all the spy stuff down.
And so at the last minute, Lloyd goes to pick it up, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, he's gonna learn all my secrets! Oh my gosh!" And it's like, this is illegible. Like, I don't understand any of this. And she thinks it's completely understandable, but she's 4 and she doesn't know how to write, which is absolutely hysterical. And then that kind of leading into the next episode.
Perplexing. Let's say deciphering the perplexing code.
Yes.
So Anya's watching Bondman.
Yes,
on television. Spy Wars. Spy Wars is the name of the show. Spy Wars,
yes.
She's watching Spy Wars on television, and on that show, Bondman deciphers a code that tells him to go meet this woman on a bridge. Anya decides she wants to do the same thing. She goes and tries to make this code in pink crayon, and Yor says, "I can't read what this is." She says, "Mama, will you if can I get you to write this out so exactly the way I say it? And so she gets her mama to write this out, looking exactly like the one in the show.
Uh-huh.
And apparently must have gotten her to do it 5 times at least.
Yes.
And Anya then starts trying to drop this code off with different people.
Which is absolutely hysterical.
First, the mailman, which tells him, "Oh, if you're going to send this, you need to have a stamp." And then she gives it to some random old ladies out in the hallway.
She gives one to Desmond.
She gives one to Damien. She gives one, of course, to Becky. And she gives one to Frankie.
And it's absolutely hysterical.
And the only one who bothered to decipher the thing was Frankie.
And Frankie completely forgets about who sent it to, or gave it to him. And he's like, "Oh, some secret letter. Oh my gosh, who could it be?" I mean, like, he deciphers it. And it's, "Oh my gosh, a woman must have the hots for me and everything."
So he deciphered it fairly quickly,
Yes.
but then stayed up all night.
Oh yeah,
laying next to his suit.
with
the sun shining in on his eyes. When we see him the next morning, he says, "I stayed up all night." Of course, the sun shining on me didn't help much. And he's been waiting out on this bridge, and Anya's still asleep at home.
Yes, she completely forgot about it. Which is hysterical.
Granted, this is just a fun little aside.
Yes.
There's nothing plot here, but it's just so funny. So next week, or 2 weeks from now,
yes,
when we have a certain Marchand back on, I believe. Hang on, I'm trying to get over there to see the episodes. Why am I not looking at the spreadsheet? That would be much faster. Next week, in 2 weeks, with In Search of Titanic, we will be looking at Nightfall and Nightfall / First Fit of Jealousy, and the underground tennis tournament, the Camp Beldon.
Oh gosh,
which is part 1.
Part 1.
Yes.
Wow.
It's a 2-part episode. Episode 23, The Unwavering Path, which we're doing with Mars Needs Moms. Finish that off.
Gosh.
But of season 1, we only have 5 episodes left.
Really?
And then we'll have to get into season 2. So, yeah, we're coming close to the end. So, Jacob is going to have to be picking something soon to put on the TAS list.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, join us next week in 2 weeks for the return of the Marchand and Tentacles.
The return of Marchand. That's hilarious.
I don't know why I'm finding that funny, because Marchand has been on this show 5 months in a row. But join us next time. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
are disgusting faces, worn out laces, zombie faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. I don't find it kind of funny, but I do find it kind of sad. The dreams in which they're dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, because I find it hard to take. I'm just going to jump ahead. Madballs. I'm not good at writing parodies at the last seconds.